Let's talk about personal accountability, because when you can hold yourself accountable, you can get things done. But sometimes when we don't hold ourselves accountable, when we don't meet those deadlines, when we don't take ownership and we don't trust ourselves to get it done, those struggles can lead to our own stress. Those struggles turn into missed goals. Those struggles turn into our own frustrations. So, using your DISC work style to influence how you approach accountability will aid in this hurdle, because you're meeting your natural tendency where it's at. So, the first thing I want you to do is ask yourself, what DISC work style am I? And I'll go through it a little bit in this video, but I have a whole DISC playlist to dig into on what type of natural work tendencies that you might have. Let's begin with D. So D's are dominants, are reds. They like to move fast. They're going to struggle with self-accountability because they move fast. And because they're moving fast, they're going to overlook details and they're going to struggle with patience. Knowing that you're a D, you need to have a pause point. You need to have a question to kind of check yourself. It's a checkpoint to say, I'm moving too fast, I'm going to miss the goal. A great question to ask is, do I need to slow down and set clear milestones? Because right now you might be shooting for the end goal, but because you like to move fast, you're rushing it. You're missing things. So maybe you need to set checkpoints to that main goal, and that's what you shoot for, because you're going to hit the result faster, feel that natural tendency be fed, and then you can move on to the next checkpoint. Now, you can also set systems that work with your style. So because these like to move fast and they're very speedy, what's the priority here to this checkpoint? And what's the fastest way to execute it? Because this is talking about the checkpoint now and not the end goal. So it's okay if you want to go speedy and go fast to this checkpoint, because you're not going to miss all the other details on the future checkpoints. The other thing you can do is track progress and adjust. So for a D style that likes to move fast, they can ask themselves, did I focus on impact or did I just speed through it? Because D's ultimate goal is results. So yes, they want to get it done and they want to get it on time or before time, but they also want the impact of the result. Otherwise, it's a failure to them. So asking the question to help yourself readjust, such as, did I focus on impact or did I just speed through? It's going to help this self-accountability. Now let's talk about I's. I's as influencer are yellows. These are kind of our social butterflies. They link a lot to external social cues and behaviors. So they're going to get distracted by new ideas, and they may even overcommit with no follow through. So how they can begin to shift this back to self-accountability is to ask themselves, again, that pulse point, to just stop for a moment. Am I committing to realistically what I can follow through on? Because they don't want to disappoint others and make the team fail. So a great question for them to ask and really check themselves is, am I committing to what I realistically can follow through on? Because I's are also very externally focused. Think like golden retriever syndrome. They may thrive with an accountability partner, someone outside of themselves, for check-ins to keep them engaged and on track towards the end goal. And a question they can ask themselves to keep themselves accountable is, did I follow through on what I promised? Because they have that external focus and they have that sense of need to belong and provide for others, that asking that, did I follow through on what I promised, is very strong. Now let's go to S's. S's are supportives, there are greens, and they have a hard time saying no. There are conflict avoiders. So they will often prioritize others over themselves. They're your yes people. So it's very difficult for them to hold themselves accountable if they're always externally focused. A great question they can ask to kind of check themselves is, am I holding myself accountable or am I just trying to keep the peace? So again, it's refocusing around the goal they want to achieve, or are they just avoiding conflict? And a great system that S's can set up, especially because they like some of that deep work, is blocking time for their priorities, blocking time for their tasks and functions to be done, so that they don't get lost in other people's needs and demands. So a great question for them to ask is, did I balance helping others with my own priorities? Am I able, while helping others with this and that and this, to get my own work done? And that helps them from getting lost in other people's responsibilities and get their own goals done. Now, let's talk about C's. C's are our compliance. They are data detailed people. They're our blues. They are perfectionists, so they can actually lead themselves right into analysis paralysis instead of execution. They can use a question for a pulse point or a checkpoint, such as, am I stuck perfecting instead of progressing, right? So that checks them to see what route they're on. And then do they have a deadline established, or are they focused on a deadline because their data and details and they want to perform well? They will focus on done is better than perfect. And then a great question to adjust themselves is, did I take action or did I get stuck in the details? See, holding yourself accountable isn't about self-criticism. It's about knowing your natural tendency and creating systems to help you through and grow.